The rain fell in sheets that night, soaking through Denise's blue coat as she stood outside St. Michael's Hospital, gripping her 8-year-old daughter's small hand. Amira looked up at her with those same brown eyes her father had, eyes that used to light up the room, eyes that now held too many questions for such a young soul. "Mommy, why are we here again?" Amira's voice was soft, almost lost in the sound of rain hitting the pavement. Denise's throat tightened. 3 years. It had been 3 years since that terrible night, the night she stood in this exact spot and watched the ambulance doors close, the night Tyler squeezed her hand one last time and made her promise something that would change the course of her life forever. The night he whispered those words between labored breaths, words that still echoed in her mind every single day. "Promise me, Dee. Promise me you won't let anyone into Amira's life until she's ready. Really ready. I don't want her hurt by someone who can't love her the way I do. Promise me." And she had promised. Through tears and heartbreak she had promised. "We're remembering Daddy," Denise said quietly, kneeling down to meet her daughter's eyes. "And I'm reminding myself of something important he told me." The rain continued to fall, cold and relentless, washing over them like the grief that still came in waves. Denise stood up, pulling Amira close as they walked back to their old sedan, its engine making that worrying sound again. Inside the car, Amira was quiet, her small fingers tracing patterns on the foggy window. Denise drove through the city streets, past the familiar buildings and neighborhoods that had become her whole world. Single motherhood wasn't something she'd planned for. At 32, she should have been living the life they'd dreamed about together. Tyler had been a firefighter, strong and brave and so full of love it seemed to pour out of him naturally. He'd died saving 3 children from a burning apartment building, and while the city called him a hero, Denise just called him gone. The next morning came too quickly. Denise woke at 5:30, a habit from years of balancing work and motherhood. She moved quietly through their small 2-bedroom apartment, preparing Amira's lunch, ironing her own clothes, making sure everything was ready for another long day. Her reflection in the bathroom mirror showed a beautiful woman with rich brown skin, natural hair pulled into a neat bun, and eyes that carried the weight of 3 years of solo parenting. She chose a green blouse and black slacks for work, professional but comfortable. As an executive assistant to Harrison Blake, CEO of Blake Technologies, she needed to look the part. The job paid well, better than anything else she'd qualified for with just an associate degree and years of office experience. Harrison was known for being fair, for treating his employees with respect, but he was still a billionaire and she was just trying to keep her head above water. After dropping Amira at school, Denise arrived at Blake Technologies by 8. The building was modern and impressive, all glass and steel reaching toward the sky. She'd worked here for 2 years now, ever since Tyler's death benefits started running low and she'd needed something stable. "Morning, Denise." Harrison's voice came from behind her as she settled at her desk outside his office. He was tall, in his late 30s, with an easy smile that seemed genuine. Today he wore a dark blue suit that probably cost more than her monthly rent. "Good morning, Mr. Blake." She smiled professionally, pulling up his schedule on her computer. "How many times do I need to tell you to call me Harrison?" He leaned against her desk casually. "We've been working together for 2 years. It's more professional this way," she replied, her tone light but firm. He studied her for a moment, something curious in his expression, then nodded and headed into his office. Denise let out a breath she didn't realize she'd been holding. Harrison was kind, too kind sometimes, and that made her nervous. She'd learned to keep her distance from everyone, to keep her heart locked away where it couldn't be broken again. The day moved quickly. Meetings, phone calls, emails, the endless flow of running a tech company that employed over 5,000 people. Harrison trusted her with sensitive information, often asking her opinion on matters that went beyond her job description. She appreciated that he valued her intelligence, that he saw her as more than just someone who scheduled his appointments. Around 3 in the afternoon her phone buzzed. Amira's school. Her heart dropped. "Mrs. Thompson? Amira is in the nurse's office. Her asthma is acting up. Can you come pick her up? I'll be right there." Denise hung up, grabbing her purse. She knocked on Harrison's door quickly. "Come in." "Mr. Blake, I'm so sorry, but Amira's school called. I need to pick her up." Harrison was on his feet immediately. "Is she okay?" "Her asthma. It happens sometimes when the weather changes." Denise was already backing toward the door. "Go. Take the rest of the day. Take tomorrow if you need to." His concern seemed genuine. "Thank you." She hurried out, grateful for his understanding but also aware that this was the 3rd time this month she'd had to leave early. Jobs didn't last when you had to keep leaving, no matter how understanding your boss seemed. Amira was tired but okay by the time Denise got her home and settled with her inhaler. The medical bills were piling up again. Insurance covered some of it but not enough. Never enough. That evening, Denise made spaghetti for dinner, Amira's favorite. They ate together at their small kitchen table, Amira chattering about her day at school, about her best friend Jessica, about the art project she was working on. For a moment life felt almost normal. Mom? Amira looked up from her plate. Why don't you ever go out with your friends? Denise's fork paused halfway to her mouth. What do you mean, sweetie? Jessica's mom goes out sometimes. She has dates. You never go anywhere except work and my school. It was an innocent observation, but it hit Denise like a physical blow. How did you explain to an 8-year-old that you'd promised her dying father you wouldn't let anyone into their lives until she was ready? How did you explain that the loneliness was a choice, a sacrifice made out of love and fear in equal measure? I'm happy just being with you, Denise said softly. You're all I need. Amira seemed satisfied with that answer, but the question lingered in Denise's mind long after her daughter had gone to bed. 2 weeks later, Blake Technologies held its quarterly company dinner at an upscale restaurant downtown. These events were mandatory for senior staff, which included executive assistants. Denise wore a red dress she'd owned for years, simple but elegant, and tried not to feel out of place among the executives and their spouses. She sat at a table with other assistants and junior managers, making polite conversation and picking at her salmon. Across the room, Harrison was entertaining major clients, his easy charm making everyone laugh. He caught her eye once and she smiled back before looking away. After dinner, as people mingled and networked, Harrison approached her table. Denise, can I borrow you for a moment? Her colleagues gave her knowing looks as she stood and followed him to a quieter corner of the restaurant. I wanted to thank you personally for your work on the Jennings merger, Harrison said. Your attention to detail saved us from a major contract issue. Just doing my job, Denise replied, but she appreciated the recognition. Harrison was quiet for a moment, then asked, Can I ask you something personal? Denise tensed. That depends on the question. Why don't you ever date? The question hung in the air between them. Denise's first instinct was to deflect, to make a joke or change the subject. But something in Harrison's expression stopped her. He wasn't being nosy or inappropriate. He genuinely seemed to want to understand. I made a promise, she said finally. To my late husband. Tyler, Harrison said quietly. I remember you mentioning him when you first started. Denise nodded, surprised he remembered. He made me promise not to let anyone into our daughter's life until she was ready. Until I was certain they could love her the way he did. And I haven't met anyone who could do that. Harrison was quiet, processing her words. That's a beautiful promise. And a heavy burden. It's not a burden, Denise said quickly. It's love. They're not mutually exclusive, Harrison replied gently. Something can be both. Before Denise could respond, one of Harrison's business partners called him away. She returned to her table, her heart beating faster than it should. That conversation had opened something she'd kept carefully closed, and she wasn't sure how to seal it back up. The weeks that followed were subtly different. Harrison started asking about Amira more often, not in a pushy way, just genuine interest. He remembered details Denise mentioned in passing. When Amira's school had a book fair, he asked if she'd found anything good. When Denise mentioned Amira loved science, he sent home age-appropriate books about space and dinosaurs, saying they were extras from a donation drive his company did. You don't have to do this, Denise said when he handed her the third book. I know, Harrison replied. But I want to. Is that okay? And there it was, the question that challenged everything she'd been holding on to. Was it okay? Was accepting small kindnesses breaking her promise? Was she being ungrateful by questioning his motives? It's okay, she said finally. Thank you. His smile was warm. You're welcome. That night, as Denise read one of the new books to Amira, she felt something shift inside her chest. It wasn't love, not yet, but it was the tiny crack in the wall she'd built, the first ray of light breaking through after 3 years of darkness. And it terrified her. Would you keep a promise even if it meant being alone forever? If this story moved you, please subscribe and share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever had to choose between a promise and your own happiness? The memories came in fragments, sharp and clear like pieces of broken glass. Tyler Thompson had been 29 when he died, young and strong with a smile that could light up any room. Denise met him when she was 23, working as a receptionist at a dental office. He'd come in for a routine cleaning, cracked a joke about flossing that made her laugh, and asked for her number before he left. Their first date was at a small Italian restaurant. Tyler wore jeans and a green shirt that brought out the warmth in his brown eyes. He told her about growing up in Atlanta, about how his father had been a firefighter and his grandfather before that. It was a family tradition, he said, one he was proud to continue. Doesn't it scare you? Denise had asked. Running into burning buildings? Every single time, Tyler admitted. But someone has to help. Someone has to be brave when others can't be. They were married within a year. The wedding was small, just family and close friends, held in the backyard of Denise's childhood home. Her mother cried happy tears, and Tyler's father gave a speech about how proud he was that his son had found such a wonderful woman. Amira was born 2 years later, a beautiful baby girl with her father's eyes and her mother's smile. Tyler was an amazing father from day one, getting up for night feedings, changing diapers without complaint, singing silly songs that made Amira giggle. He'd hold her for hours, just staring at her tiny face like she was the most precious thing in the world. I'm going to protect her forever, Tyler would whisper. Nothing bad will ever happen to her as long as I'm here. But forever ended on a cold November night when Amira was 5 years old. Tyler's fire station got the call at 8:30 in the evening. An apartment building on the east side was on fire, multiple floors engulfed. Tyler and his crew rushed to the scene. The building was old, the fire spreading fast. Most residents had made it out, but witnesses reported hearing children crying on the 3rd floor. Tyler didn't hesitate. He went in. He found 3 children ages 4, 6, and 7, huddled in a bathroom. Their parents had gone out for the evening, leaving them with a teenage babysitter who'd panicked and run when the fire started. Tyler carried 2 children and guided the 3rd through the smoke and flames, getting them to safety. Then he went back in. The babysitter was still somewhere inside, he told his captain. Just one more person to save. The building collapsed 15 minutes later. Tyler was trapped under burning debris. By the time they pulled him out, the damage was too severe. The smoke inhalation, the burns, the internal injuries from the collapse. The doctors did everything they could, but some injuries are beyond healing. Denise sat by his hospital bed for 3 days, holding his hand, praying for a miracle that wouldn't come. Amira was at home with Denise's mother, too young to fully understand that her daddy might not come back. On the 3rd night, Tyler's eyes opened. The doctors had said he might have moments of consciousness, brief windows where the pain medication would clear enough for him to be aware. "Dee," he whispered, his voice rough and weak. "I'm here, baby. I'm right here." Denise leaned close, tears streaming down her face. "The kids?" Tyler asked. "They're fine. All 3 children are fine. You saved them." Denise squeezed his hand gently. "You're a hero." Tyler's eyes closed for a moment, then opened again. "Amira? She's okay. She's with my mom. She misses you so much." "Dee, listen." Tyler's breathing was labored. "I need you to promise me something." "Anything," Denise said, her heart breaking with every word. "Promise me you won't let just anyone into Amira's life. Not until she's ready. Really ready." Tyler's grip on her hand tightened slightly. "I've seen too many kids hurt by men who their moms brought home. Men who didn't really care about them. Men who left. Promise me you'll wait until you find someone who will love her like I do. Like she deserves." "Tyler, don't talk like this. You're going to get better. You're going to come home." Denise was sobbing now, the words tumbling out desperately. "Promise me, Dee. Please. I need to know she'll be protected." Through her tears, through her breaking heart, Denise gave him the promise he needed. "I promise. I won't let anyone into her life until she's ready. Until I know they can love her the way you do." Tyler smiled just barely. "Good. That's good. You're the best mom, Dee. The best wife. I'm so lucky I got to love you both." Those were his last coherent words. He slipped back into unconsciousness and 2 hours later he was gone. The funeral was a blur. The fire department gave Tyler a hero's service, full honors, hundreds of firefighters from across the state attending. The 3 children he'd saved were there with their parents, crying and holding flowers. The mayor spoke about bravery and sacrifice. Tyler's father held Amira during the service, both of them crying. Denise felt numb through all of it, moving through the motions like a robot. Accept condolences. Thank people for coming. Smile at the stories about how wonderful Tyler was. But inside she was screaming. The hardest part was explaining it to Amira. How do you tell a 5-year-old that her daddy isn't coming home? That the man who sang her silly songs and pushed her on swings and promised to always protect her is gone forever? Daddy had to go be with the angels, Denise tried to explain, holding her daughter close. He saved some children and he was very brave, but he got hurt and the doctors couldn't make him better. But when is he coming back? Amira asked, her small voice full of confusion. He's not coming back, sweetie. But he's always going to be with us in our hearts. He's always going to love us. Amira cried for days. She asked for her daddy constantly, couldn't understand why he wouldn't come home. Denise held her through the tears, through the nightmares, through the terrible process of grief that no child should have to experience. In the months that followed, Denise learned to navigate life as a single mother. Tyler's death benefits helped, and the fire department pension provided some financial stability, but it wasn't enough to live on long term. She needed a job, something with decent pay and benefits. She started as a temp at various offices, working her way up through dedication and competence. Amira went to after-school programs, stayed with Denise's mother when needed, adjusted to a life without her father in small, heartbreaking ways. "I'm forgetting what Daddy's voice sounds like," Amira said one night about a year after Tyler's death. She was 6 then, sitting on the couch with tears running down her face. "I try to remember, but I can't hear it anymore." Denise pulled out her phone and played a video from Amira's 4th birthday party. Tyler's voice filled the room, singing happy birthday off-key, making Amira giggle in the video. "We won't forget him," Denise promised, holding her daughter close. "We'll never forget him." But even as she said it, Denise felt the weight of the other promise, the one that meant protecting Amira from the possibility of more loss, more heartbreak. She'd been asked out a few times in those first 2 years. Nice men, normal men, men who seemed interested in getting to know her. She'd said no to all of them. "I'm not ready," she'd say, which was partially true. But the fuller truth was the promise, the sacred vow she'd made to a dying man who'd only wanted to protect his daughter. Some of Denise's friends thought she was being too rigid. "Tyler would want you to be happy," her best friend Nicole said over coffee one afternoon. "He wouldn't want you to be alone forever." "It's not about being alone," Denise tried to explain. "It's about making sure that if I do let someone into our lives, it's the right person. Someone who will love Amira unconditionally. Someone who won't hurt her or leave her." "That's a very high bar," Nicole pointed out gently. "It should be," Denise replied. "She's already lost one father. She can't lose another." By the time Denise started working at Blake Technologies, she perfected the art of deflecting romantic interest. She was friendly but distant, warm but boundaried. She wore her wedding ring sometimes, though she'd switched it to her right hand after the first year. It wasn't about holding on to Tyler romantically anymore. It was about holding on to the promise. At night, alone in her bed, Denise sometimes wondered what Tyler would really think about her interpretation of his dying wish. Would he be proud that she'd kept Amira's life stable and safe? Or would he be sad that she'd closed herself off so completely? But those thoughts came late at night when exhaustion made her vulnerable. In the daylight, in the practical world of single motherhood and full-time work, the promise was clear and solid. Wait until Amira is ready. Wait until you're sure. Don't risk your daughter's heart on someone who might not stay. The promise had become a shield, protecting them both from the possibility of more pain. And Denise wore it like armor, even when it felt heavy, even when it felt lonely. Even when it felt like it might be protecting them from something good. Harrison Blake hadn't always been a billionaire. He'd grown up in a middle-class family in Seattle, his father a high school math teacher and his mother a nurse. He understood hard work, understood struggle, understood the value of treating people with respect regardless of their position. When he'd started Blake Technologies 15 years ago in his garage, developing software solutions for healthcare providers, he'd promised himself that if the company succeeded, he'd never forget what it felt like to worry about money, to work multiple jobs, to sacrifice for a dream. The company had more than succeeded. Blake Technologies was now worth billions, with offices in 12 countries and a reputation for both innovation and ethical business practices. Harrison could have been like other CEOs, distant and removed, treating employees as numbers on a spreadsheet. Instead, he knew many of them by name, asked about their families, made sure the company culture valued people over profits. But despite his success, Harrison's personal life was relatively empty. He'd been engaged once in his late 20s, but she'd left when the company was still struggling, unable to handle the uncertainty and long hours. Since then he'd dated occasionally, nothing serious, nothing that felt right. Most women were interested in his money or his status, not in who he actually was. Then Denise Thompson walked into his office for her interview 2 years ago, and something shifted. She was beautiful, that was obvious immediately. But it was more than that. She carried herself with quiet dignity, answered questions thoughtfully, and when he asked why she wanted the job, she'd been honest. "I need stability for my daughter," she'd said. I'm a single mother and I need a job that pays fairly and respects that I have responsibilities outside of work. I'm very good at what I do and I'll work hard for you, but I need to know that I won't be penalized for being a parent. Harrison had hired her on the spot. In the 2 years since, she'd proven herself invaluable. She was organized, intelligent, and handled sensitive situations with grace. But more than that, she intrigued him. There was a sadness in her eyes sometimes, a weight she carried that had nothing to do with work. He'd learned about Tyler from casual conversation, about how he'd died a hero, about how Denise was raising Amira alone. He'd learned that she never dated, never went out socially except for mandatory work events, that her whole life revolved around her daughter and her job. After that conversation at the company dinner, when she told him about the promise, Harrison understood why. And it broke his heart a little, seeing someone so full of love choosing loneliness out of fear. He decided to help, not in a way that would make her uncomfortable, but in small, practical ways that might ease her burden. When Amira got sick and Denise had to leave work early, Harrison started offering more than just time off. He had the company's health insurance broker call Denise with information about an upgraded plan that would cover more of Amira's asthma treatments. "Mr. Blake, I can't afford a better plan," Denise said when she came to his office to discuss it. "The company is subsidizing it," Harrison explained. "We're rolling out better healthcare options for all employees with dependents. You're actually helping me test the program." It wasn't entirely true, but it wasn't entirely false either. Harrison had been planning to improve healthcare benefits, but he'd accelerated the timeline after learning about Denise's medical bills. "Thank you," Denise said, her eyes glistening slightly. "This will help so much." "You're welcome," Harrison replied simply. "You work hard. You deserve support." The next week, when Denise mentioned that Amira was struggling with math, Harrison arranged for a tutor through a company program that connected employees with educational resources. Again, it was a program that benefited everyone, but he designed it with Denise in mind. "You don't have to keep doing this," Denise said when he told her about the tutoring program. "I want to," Harrison replied. "Is it okay that I want to help?" Denise hesitated, then nodded. "It's okay. And I'm grateful. Truly." Harrison noticed that she was learning to accept help, to say thank you without the guilt that used to flash across her face. It felt like progress, like maybe she was starting to understand that kindness didn't always come with strings attached. When Denise's car broke down in the company parking lot one morning, Harrison found her standing beside it looking defeated. The repair estimate was $1,200, money she didn't have. "Use a company car," Harrison offered immediately. "We have several in the garage for employee use." "Those are for business travel," Denise protested. "They're for whatever I say they're for," Harrison replied. "And right now one of them is for you to get to and from work reliably. Consider it part of your benefits package." Denise looked at him for a long moment. "Why are you being so kind to me?" Harrison could have deflected, could have given some corporate answer about employee retention and company values. But he decided to be honest. "Because you deserve kindness," he said simply. "Because you're working hard and doing everything right and sometimes life is difficult anyway. Because I can help and helping feels good. That's all." "Is that all?" Denise asked quietly. Harrison held her gaze. "For now, yes. That's all." She accepted the car, a reliable sedan from the company fleet. The next day she brought him homemade banana bread, Amira's recipe apparently. "She insisted I bake this for you," Denise explained, setting the wrapped loaf on his desk. "To say thank you." Harrison smiled. "Tell her I said thank you back. I love banana bread." These small interactions continued over the following months. Harrison never pushed boundaries, never made Denise uncomfortable, but he made sure she knew that help was available if she needed it. Sometimes it was practical, like better office equipment or flexible scheduling. Sometimes it was personal, like remembering that Amira loved reading and sending home age-appropriate books. "You're spoiling her," Denise said one afternoon, though her tone was more amused than concerned. "Is that bad?" Harrison asked. "No," Denise admitted. "She's a kid who lost her father. If someone wants to send her books and make her smile, I'm not going to complain." "Good," Harrison said. "Because I plan to keep doing it." What Harrison didn't say was that every smile he could put on Amira's face felt like a small victory, every burden he could lift from Denise's shoulders felt like progress toward something he couldn't quite name yet. He was falling for her. He knew it, had known it for months. But he also knew about the promise, knew that pushing would only drive her away. So he practiced patience, something his father had always said was the foundation of anything worthwhile. "If something matters, you wait for it," his father used to say. You don't rush. You don't force. You show up consistently and let it develop naturally. So Harrison showed up. He was consistent. He was kind. He respected Denise's boundaries while making sure she knew he cared. And he waited. One evening, working late on a major project, Harrison found Denise still at her desk at 7:30. You should go home, he said gently. Amira must be waiting for you. She's at my mother's tonight, Denise replied, not looking up from her computer. I wanted to finish this report. The report can wait, Harrison said. When's the last time you did something just for yourself? Denise finally looked up, her expression tired. I don't remember. Come on, Harrison said impulsively. Let's get dinner. Nothing fancy, just food that someone else cooks. You can tell me about how that Jennings contract is actually going, off the record. Denise hesitated, and Harrison could see the internal debate happening. Finally she nodded. Okay. But somewhere casual. Harrison was quiet for a moment, choosing his words carefully. You're right. It is more than that. I care about you, Denise. I care about Amira. I want to help because seeing you struggle when I have the ability to make things easier is painful. But I'm not asking for anything in return. I'm not trying to manipulate you or create some obligation. I just want to help. Can you let me do that? Denise looked at him, really looked at him for a long moment. She saw sincerity in his eyes, genuine concern and kindness. No hidden agenda, no expectations. Just someone who wanted to ease her burden because he could. Okay, she said finally. Yes. Thank you. You're welcome, Harrison replied. Now let's talk logistics. What kind of apartment do you need? Over the next hour they worked through the details. Harrison knew a property manager who handled several buildings, mostly occupied by Blake Technologies employees. He'd call in the morning and see what was available. As for the car, the company car Denise had been using could be permanently assigned to her as part of her compensation package. That car is worth $40,000, Denise protested. And you're worth a reliable vehicle, Harrison countered. Consider it a company car that you have personal use of. Lots of executives have that arrangement. I'm not an executive, Denise pointed out. You basically run my professional life, Harrison said. That's executive-level work. The title just hasn't caught up yet. By the time Denise left the office that night, she had a plan. More than that, she had hope. And she had someone in her corner, someone who saw her struggle and chose to help without judgment or strings attached. When she got home, Amira was already asleep. Denise's mother had picked her up from after-school care and fed her dinner. Everything okay, baby? Her mother asked. You look like you've been crying. I have been, Denise admitted. But things are getting better. Mr. Blake is helping me find a new apartment. Her mother raised an eyebrow. That's a generous boss. He is, Denise agreed. Is he single? Her mother asked with a slight smile. Mom, Denise said but without heat. I'm just saying, her mother continued. A man who goes out of his way to help a single mother and her daughter, who doesn't expect anything in return, who treats you with respect and kindness. That's rare. That's special. I made a promise to Tyler, Denise said quietly. I know, her mother replied. I was there that night. I heard what he said. But Tyler loved you and he would want you to be happy. He would want Amira to have a father figure who could love her properly. I don't think he meant for you to be alone forever. But what if I let someone in and they leave? Denise voiced her deepest fear. What if Amira gets attached and then they're gone? She's already lost one father. I can't let her lose another. That's the risk of loving anyone, her mother said gently. We could all leave at any time. Tyler didn't plan to die. Life doesn't come with guarantees. But hiding from love doesn't protect you from loss. It just guarantees loneliness. Denise didn't have an answer to that. She kissed her mother goodnight and went to check on Amira. Her daughter was asleep in her small bed, clutching her favorite stuffed elephant, the one Tyler had given her for her 3rd birthday. I'm doing my best, baby girl, Denise whispered, smoothing Amira's hair. I'm trying to keep you safe. But as she went to her own room, Denise wondered if safety and happiness were the same thing. And if maybe, just maybe, the promise she'd made didn't mean what she'd thought it meant. True to his word, Harrison had an apartment lined up by the end of the week. It was in a building 3 blocks from Blake Technologies, a 2-bedroom with good schools nearby and a park across the street. The rent was within Denise's budget, and the property manager, a kind older woman named Patricia, seemed genuinely happy to help. Any friend of Harrison's is a friend of mine, Patricia said as she showed Denise around. He helped my son get a job at Blake Technologies 2 years ago. Changed his life. The apartment had big windows that let in plenty of natural light, a kitchen with updated appliances, and a second bedroom perfect for Amira. Denise signed the lease that afternoon, grateful beyond words. Moving day was on a Saturday. Denise had arranged for a small moving company, planning to handle most of it herself. But when the movers arrived, she found Harrison there too, wearing jeans and a blue t-shirt, looking very different from his usual business attire. "You don't have to be here," Denise said, surprised. "I know," Harrison replied. "But moving is easier with extra hands. Plus, I'm pretty good at assembling furniture." He was true to his word. Harrison helped carry boxes, set up Amira's bed, and even hung pictures on the walls. He joked with the movers, played games with Amira when she got bored, and ordered pizza for everyone for lunch. Denise watched him interact with her daughter, saw how natural and easy he was with her. He didn't talk down to Amira, didn't ignore her or treat her like she was in the way. He asked her opinion on where furniture should go, listened to her stories about school, and seemed genuinely interested in her 8-year-old perspective. "Mr. Blake, do you have kids?" Amira asked during lunch, tomato sauce on her chin. "No," Harrison said. "But I have 2 nephews about your age. They're pretty cool." "Do you want kids?" Amira asked with the straightforward curiosity of children. "Amira," Denise warned gently. "That's a personal question." "It's okay," Harrison said. He thought for a moment. "I do want kids someday. A family would be nice. But it has to be with the right person, someone who would be a great partner and parent." "My dad was a great parent," Amira said, her voice suddenly soft. "He died saving kids from a fire." "I know," Harrison said gently. "Your mom told me. He was a hero." "Do you think heroes go to heaven?" Amira asked. "I think if heaven exists, heroes definitely go there," Harrison replied. "And I think they watch over the people they love." Amira seemed satisfied with this answer. She went back to eating her pizza, and Denise felt her throat tighten with emotion. Harrison had handled that conversation perfectly, with respect for Tyler's memory and sensitivity to Amira's feelings. By evening, the apartment was set up. The movers had left, and Harrison was putting together the last piece of furniture, a bookshelf for Amira's room. Denise made coffee and brought him a cup. "You didn't have to spend your whole Saturday helping us," she said. "I wanted to," Harrison replied, fitting pieces together. "Besides, this is fun. I don't get to do normal stuff like this very often." "What do billionaires usually do on Saturdays?" Denise asked, slightly teasing. Harrison smiled. "Attend charity galas. Play golf with investors. Answer emails. Very boring stuff, honestly." "This can't be more interesting than a charity gala," Denise said. "It absolutely is," Harrison said, meeting her eyes. "This is real. This matters. Helping a friend move into a safe, good home matters more than drinking champagne with people who just want something from me." "Is that what I am?" Denise asked softly. "A friend?" Harrison set down the screwdriver he'd been using. "I'd like to be. If that's okay with you." Denise nodded slowly. "It's okay. And Harrison? Thank you. For everything. I know I keep saying it, but I mean it." "I know you do," Harrison replied. "And you're welcome." In the weeks that followed, Harrison became a more regular presence in their lives, though always respectfully. He'd stop by the apartment sometimes after work to drop off something Denise had forgotten at the office, but he never stayed long unless invited. He remembered Amira's school events and would ask how they went. He sent thoughtful gifts for no reason, like a new inhaler case for Amira when hers broke, or a coffee maker for Denise when hers stopped working. Blake Technologies had a family day at a local science museum in April. It was optional, but Harrison personally invited Denise and Amira. "There's a special exhibit on space exploration," he said. "Didn't you mention that Amira loves astronomy?" Denise hesitated. Accepting help with practical matters was one thing. But this felt more personal, more like the kind of thing families did together. Still, Amira had been talking about wanting to visit this museum for months. "We'll be there," Denise said finally. The museum was crowded with Blake Technologies employees and their families. Harrison moved through the crowd greeting people, but he made sure to find Denise and Amira early on. "Ready to see some planets?" he asked Amira. "Yes." Amira practically bounced with excitement. "Did you know that Neptune has supersonic winds?" "I did not know that," Harrison said seriously. "Tell me more." He listened attentively as Amira launched into an enthusiastic explanation of planetary weather patterns, complete with hand gestures. Denise watched them together, her heart doing complicated things in her chest. They spent hours at the museum. Harrison patiently explored every exhibit Amira wanted to see, asked questions that encouraged her scientific thinking, and seemed genuinely engaged with her interests. When Amira wanted to see the planetarium show, Harrison sat between her and Denise in the dark theater, all of them looking up at the projected stars. "This is so cool," Amira whispered during the show. "It really is," Harrison whispered back. In that moment, sitting in the dark with stars overhead, Denise felt something shift inside her. She'd been so focused on protecting Amira from potential loss that she hadn't considered what Amira might be missing by not having anyone besides Denise in her life. Tyler had wanted to protect their daughter, yes, but wouldn't he also want her to have people who cared about her, who showed up for her, who encouraged her dreams? After the museum, Harrison walked them to Denise's car in the parking garage. "Thank you for including us today," Denise said. "Thank you for coming," Harrison replied. He looked down at Amira. "Did you have fun?" "The best fun," Amira said. "Can we go to the aquarium next time? They have a new shark exhibit." "Amira," Denise said quickly. "Mr. Blake has his own life. We can't expect him to take us places." "But I want to go to the aquarium," Harrison said, smiling at Amira. "Sharks are amazing. How about in 2 weeks? If it's okay with your mom." He looked at Denise and she saw the question in his eyes. He was asking permission, respecting her boundaries, letting her decide. 2 weeks would be nice, Denise said softly. "It's a date," Harrison said, then immediately looked flustered. "I mean a plan. It's a plan. To go see sharks. As friends." Amira giggled at his awkwardness and even Denise had to smile. Harrison Blake, Billionaire CEO, was nervous about using the wrong word. "We'll see you at work Monday," Denise said, letting him off the hook. "See you Monday," Harrison replied. As Denise drove home, Amira chattered happily in the back seat about everything she'd learned at the museum. But she also said something that made Denise's heart skip. "Mom? I like Mr. Blake. He's nice. And he listens to me like I'm important." "You are important, baby," Denise said. "I know," Amira replied. "But not all grown-ups act like kids are important. Mr. Blake does." That night, after Amira went to bed, Denise sat in her new living room and thought about the promise she'd made 3 years ago. She'd interpreted it as a command to stay alone, to protect Amira from any potential attachment or loss. But what if the promise wasn't about staying alone? What if it was about being careful, being thoughtful, waiting for the right person? Harrison hadn't pushed his way into their lives. He'd shown up consistently with kindness and respect, proving through actions that he cared. He treated Amira with genuine interest and affection, never trying to replace Tyler but creating his own space in her life. Maybe this was what Tyler had meant. Not isolation but discernment. Not loneliness but patience for the right person. Denise wasn't ready to admit she was falling in love with Harrison Blake. That felt too big, too scary. But she was ready to admit that she looked forward to seeing him. That his kindness meant something. That having him in their lives made things brighter. And maybe, just maybe, that was okay. In May, everything at Blake Technologies fell apart in the space of 48 hours. It started with a hostile takeover attempt. A larger competitor, TechCorp Industries, made an aggressive move to acquire Blake Technologies. The offer was public, designed to appeal directly to shareholders over Harrison's head. The price was generous, but it came with plans to gut the company, fire most employees, and absorb the technology into TechCorp's existing products. Harrison spent entire days in emergency board meetings. His face was drawn, his usual calm replaced by visible stress. Denise watched him take call after call, meeting after meeting, barely eating or sleeping as he tried to save the company he'd built from the ground up. "This isn't just about money," Harrison told Denise one evening as they worked late, preparing documents for the next day's meeting. 5,000 people work here. They have families, mortgages, lives that depend on these jobs. If TechCorp succeeds, most of them will be out of work within a year. "What can we do?" Denise asked. "Fight," Harrison said simply. "Find investors who believe in what we're doing. Rally the board. Show shareholders that staying independent is better long-term than taking TechCorp's money." Denise threw herself into helping. She stayed late every night, coordinating meetings, preparing presentations, managing the logistics of Harrison's fight to save his company. She called her mother to watch Amira more, explaining that work was critical right now. "Is your boss okay?" her mother asked. "He seems like a good man. I hope he makes it through this." "He will," Denise said with more confidence than she felt. "He's strong." But as the days wore on and the pressure mounted, Denise saw cracks in Harrison's armor. He was exhausted, running on coffee and determination. During a particularly brutal board meeting, one of the senior board members suggested that maybe TechCorp's offer was the smart move. "You're young, Harrison," the man said. "You could take the money, start something new. Why fight so hard?" Harrison's response was immediate and passionate. "Because these people trusted me. They built this company with me. I'm not going to throw them away for money. If you can't see why that matters, then you don't understand what Blake Technologies is really about." Watching him fight for his employees, seeing his integrity in action, Denise felt something shift in her chest. This wasn't just a kind man helping her out. This was someone who lived his values, who put people first, who would fight for what mattered. One night, around 10 o'clock, Denise found Harrison alone in his office, head in his hands. The latest shareholder poll had shown they were losing ground. "You should go home," Harrison said without looking up. "You've done enough." "Have you eaten today?" Denise asked instead of leaving. "I don't remember." Denise left and came back 20 minutes later with takeout from a nearby restaurant that was still open. She set the food on Harrison's desk and sat down across from him. "Eat," she said firmly. Harrison looked at the food, then at her, and something in his expression cracked. "What if I can't save it, Denise? What if I let everyone down?" "You won't," Denise said with certainty. "Because you don't give up. Because you care more about people than profits. Because you're Harrison Blake, and that means something." "How can you be so sure?" Harrison asked quietly. "Because I've watched you for 2 years," Denise said. "I've seen how you treat people. How you lead. How you care. You don't give up on things that matter, and this matters." Harrison held her gaze for a long moment. "You matter," he said softly. "You and Amira. You matter so much." Denise's breath caught. This was the closest Harrison had come to a direct declaration, to crossing the line from friendship into something more. "Harrison." She started but didn't know how to finish. "I know," Harrison said, reading her expression. "I know you're not ready. I know about the promise. But I need you to know that I care about you. Both of you. And when this is over, if you ever decide you might want to explore what that could mean, I'll be here. I'll wait as long as it takes." "What if it takes forever?" Denise asked, her voice barely a whisper. "Then I guess I'll wait forever," Harrison said simply. "Some things are worth waiting for." Denise didn't know what to say to that. So instead she pushed the food closer to him. "Then tell me what we need to do tomorrow to win this fight." They worked until midnight, making plans and strategies. When Denise finally left, Harrison walked her to her car. "Thank you," he said. "For everything. For staying. For believing in me." "Always," Denise replied, and meant it. The fight for Blake Technologies continued for another week. Harrison found allies in unexpected places. Several major investors rallied to his side after he made an impassioned presentation about the company's values and long-term vision. Employee support was overwhelming, with workers at all levels speaking out publicly about why Blake Technologies was special. The turning point came when a major pension fund that held significant shares announced they would vote against the takeover. Their statement cited Harrison's leadership and the company's ethical track record as reasons for their confidence. When the final vote came, Harrison won. Not by a huge margin, but enough. Blake Technologies would remain independent. The 5,000 employees would keep their jobs. Harrison's vision would continue. The office erupted in celebration. People hugged and cried and cheered. Harrison stood in the middle of it all, relief and exhaustion clear on his face. Denise found him an hour later in his office, finally alone. He was just sitting at his desk, staring at nothing, processing what had happened. "You did it," Denise said from the doorway. Harrison looked up and smiled, and it was like the sun coming out after a storm. "We did it. I couldn't have fought this hard without you." "Yes, you could have," Denise said. "But I'm glad I could help." Harrison stood and crossed to where she stood. For a moment, Denise thought he might hug her, or do something else that would cross the professional line they'd maintained. But he just stood close, looking at her with open emotion. "I meant what I said," Harrison told her quietly. "I'll wait. However long you need." Denise felt tears prick her eyes. "I know. And that means everything." As she drove home that night, Denise realized something important. Harrison had been tested by fire over these past weeks, and he'd proven exactly who he was. Strong, ethical, caring, faithful. The kind of man who fought for what mattered and who treated people with dignity. The kind of man Tyler would have respected. The kind of man who could love Amira the way she deserved. The kind of man worth taking a risk for when the time was right. Summer arrived with long days and warm sunshine. Amira was out of school, spending mornings at a day camp and afternoons with Denise's mother. Denise and Harrison had settled into a comfortable rhythm at work, the crisis bringing them closer but both still respecting the boundaries Denise needed. Harrison had invited them to a company picnic at a large park by the lake. The event was huge with games and food and activities for all ages. Denise wore a comfortable red sundress, and Amira wore her favorite green shorts and a yellow t-shirt. "This is so much fun," Amira exclaimed as they arrived, taking in the bouncy houses and game stations. "Go play," Denise said. "I'll be right here if you need me." But Amira surprised her by asking, "Can Mr. Blake come play with me?" Harrison, who was standing nearby greeting employees, overheard. "I would love to," he said to Amira. Then to Denise, "If that's okay?" Denise nodded and watched as her daughter grabbed Harrison's hand and pulled him toward the activities. They started with the three-legged race, Harrison and Amira laughing as they tried to coordinate their steps. Then they moved to the water balloon toss, both getting thoroughly soaked. Other employees noticed. Harrison Blake, CEO and billionaire, playing like a regular dad at a company picnic. It wasn't what people expected, but it was genuine, and Denise could see people smiling at the sight. Nicole, Denise's friend from the marketing department, appeared at her elbow. "That man is in love with you." "He's just being kind," Denise said automatically. "Girl, no," Nicole replied. "That's not kindness. That's a man spending his Saturday getting soaked in water balloon fights because your daughter asked him to. That's love." Denise didn't respond, but she couldn't stop watching Harrison and Amira together. The way he listened to her chatter, the way he let her win at games but challenged her too, the way he seemed genuinely happy just being around her. Later, during lunch, Amira sat between Denise and Harrison, eating her hot dog and watching the other families around them. "Mr. Blake?" she asked suddenly. "Do you like my mom?" Denise nearly choked on her lemonade. "Amira." "It's okay," Harrison said calmly, though his eyes met Denise's briefly before focusing on Amira. "Yes, I like your mom very much. She's smart and strong and kind. She's a good person. Do you like her like her?" Amira pressed, using the terminology of 8-year-olds everywhere. Harrison paused, clearly considering how honest to be with a child. "Yes," he said finally. "I do like her. But your mom and I are friends right now, and that's okay too." "Why are you just friends?" Amira asked with innocent directness. "Because sometimes people need time," Harrison explained gently. "Your mom made a promise to your dad before he died, a promise to be careful about who comes into your life. She's honoring that promise by making sure anyone around you is good and safe and worthy of you both." Amira thought about this, swinging her legs under the picnic table. "My dad was the best dad ever." "I'm sure he was," Harrison agreed. "But he's gone," Amira continued, her voice getting quieter. "And I miss him. But I also think maybe it's okay to have other people care about us." "Is that bad?" Denise felt her heart breaking and healing at the same time. "Oh, sweetheart. That's not bad at all. Daddy wouldn't want us to be sad forever, would he?" Amira looked at her mother with those serious brown eyes. "No," Denise said, tears threatening. "He'd want us to be happy." "I'm happy when Mr. Blake is around," Amira said simply. "He makes you smile more." Later that afternoon, after Amira had run off to play with other kids, Harrison and Denise sat together on a bench overlooking the lake. "She's pretty perceptive," Harrison said quietly. 8-year-olds see more than we think," Denise replied. "What she said earlier about being happy when I'm around," Harrison ventured carefully. "Is that true for you too?" Denise was quiet for a long moment, watching the sunlight dance on the water. "Yes," she admitted finally. "It's true." "That's good," Harrison said. "Because I'm happiest when I'm with both of you." They sat in comfortable silence, not touching but close enough that Denise could feel his presence. It was peaceful, sitting there together watching children play and families enjoy the summer day. "I'm scared," Denise admitted suddenly. "I'm scared of breaking my promise. I'm scared of what it means if I let you into our lives more. I'm scared Amira will get attached and something will happen." "I'm scared too," Harrison said. "I'm scared I'm not good enough, that I can't live up to Tyler's memory, that I'll disappoint you both somehow. But fear shouldn't be the thing that makes our decisions." "Then what should?" Denise asked. "Love," Harrison said simply. "Hope. Faith that good things are possible. Trust that we can build something beautiful together." Over the next few weeks, Amira's observations about Harrison continued. She noticed small things. How he always asked about her day. How he remembered which books she'd read and brought her new ones she might like. How he treated her mother with respect and kindness. One evening, Denise was tucking Amira into bed when her daughter asked, "Mom, do you think Daddy would like Mr. Blake?" The question took Denise's breath away. Why do you ask? Because I think about Daddy sometimes, Amira said. And I wonder what he'd think about things now. Would he be happy that Mr. Blake is nice to us? Denise lay down next to her daughter on the small bed. I think your daddy would be grateful that someone kind and good cares about you. I think he'd want you to have people in your life who show up for you and treat you with love. Do you think it's okay if I like Mr. Blake? Amira asked. Even though it feels different from liking Daddy? Different doesn't mean bad, Denise said gently. You can love your daddy's memory and also care about other people. Your heart is big enough for both. Is your heart big enough for both? Amira asked with stunning insight. Denise felt tears sliding down her cheeks. I think maybe it is, sweetie. I think maybe it is. Are you still watching? This story is about taking chances on love after loss. If it's touching your heart, please subscribe and share your thoughts. Have you ever been afraid to love again? August brought the 3rd anniversary of Tyler's death. Denise had marked this day for 3 years now, visiting his grave with Amira, talking to him about their lives, keeping his memory alive. This year felt different. This year, Denise felt herself standing at a crossroads, the promise she'd made pulling one direction and her growing feelings for Harrison pulling another. The night before the anniversary, Denise couldn't sleep. She lay in bed thinking about Tyler, about the promise, about Harrison, about Amira's innocent questions and observations. Around midnight, she got up and pulled out an old box from her closet, the one with letters and photos from her marriage. She found the letter Tyler had written her on their wedding day, a tradition they'd started where they'd written letters to each other expressing their hopes and dreams for their marriage. She read it slowly, hearing his voice in her head. Dear D. Today I get to marry my best friend. I promise to love you with everything I have. I promise to be the kind of husband who shows up, who does dishes and changes diapers, who makes you laugh when you're sad. I promise to build a life with you that's full of love and adventure. Whatever comes, we'll face it together. That's what marriage means. Two people choosing each other every day through good times and hard times. I can't wait to grow old with you. I can't wait to have kids with you. I can't wait for all the ordinary, beautiful days of a life shared. Love always, Tyler. Denise cried reading it, mourning all over again the future they'd planned and lost. But she also felt Tyler's love, his hope, his belief in beautiful futures. Would he really want her frozen in grief forever? Would he want Amira growing up without knowing what it looked like to have a loving partner, to see healthy adult relationships? The next morning, Denise and Amira drove to the cemetery. The August day was bright and clear, the grass green and well-maintained. They walked to Tyler's grave together, Amira carrying fresh flowers. Hi, Daddy, Amira said softly, placing the flowers by the headstone. I miss you. They sat on the grass beside the grave, quiet for a while. Then Amira said, Can I tell Daddy something? Of course, sweetie, Denise replied. Daddy, Mom has a friend named Mr. Blake, Amira said, speaking to the headstone like Tyler could hear. He's really nice. He brings me books and listens to my science facts. He makes Mom smile. I think you'd like him. I think it's okay if we like him too. Denise felt fresh tears come. Her daughter was giving her permission in her own way to move forward. Tyler, Denise said, addressing the stone herself. I need to talk to you about the promise. She took a deep breath. When you made me promise to protect Amira, to wait until she was ready before letting anyone into our lives, I understood it one way. I thought you meant for us to be alone, to guard against anyone who might hurt her. I've done that for 3 years. A breeze rustled through the trees and Denise continued. But I think I misunderstood. I think what you really meant was to be thoughtful, to be careful, to wait for the right person. You weren't asking me to be alone forever. You were asking me to protect our daughter from people who would hurt her, but also to be open to people who would love her. Amira leaned against her mother, listening. I've met someone, Denise said. Harrison Blake. He's kind and patient and good. He treats Amira like she matters. He's shown up for us consistently, never pushing, always respecting boundaries. I think he's the kind of man you'd respect. I think he's the kind of man who could love us the way we deserve. Denise wiped her tears. So I'm asking for your blessing, Ty. Not to forget you, never that. But to open my heart to the possibility of love again. To honor your memory by living fully, not by hiding. To keep my promise by being thoughtful about who I let in, and I've been thoughtful. I've waited. I've watched. And I think Harrison is worth the risk. They sat in silence for a while longer. Then Amira spoke up. Mom? I think Daddy would say yes. I think he'd want us to be happy. How do you know? Denise asked gently. Because he loved us, Amira said simply. And love wants people to be happy. Denise hugged her daughter close. When did you get so wise? I'm 8, Amira replied seriously. I know things. They stayed at the cemetery for another hour, talking to Tyler about their lives, about school and work and the new apartment. It felt right, honoring his memory while also acknowledging that life continued, that hearts could heal without forgetting. As they walked back to the car, Amira asked, Are you going to tell Mr. Blake that it's okay now? Tell him what's okay? Denise asked, though she knew what Amira meant. That he can be more than a friend, Amira said. That he can be your boyfriend. That maybe someday he could be part of our family. Denise's heart raced. Is that what you want? I want you to be happy, Amira said. And I want someone who will come to my science fair and play games with me and make you laugh. Mr. Blake does all those things. He does, Denise agreed. So are you going to tell him? Amira persisted. Maybe, Denise said. When the time is right. But even as she said it, Denise felt something settle in her chest. The permission she'd been waiting for hadn't needed to come from Tyler's grave. It had been inside her all along, waiting for her to be brave enough to claim it. That evening, Denise called Harrison. Hi. Are you busy? Never too busy for you, Harrison replied, and she could hear the smile in his voice. What's up? I was wondering if you'd like to come over for dinner this weekend, Denise said. Nothing fancy, just the three of us. If you want. There was a pause, then Harrison said, I would love that. Really love that. Saturday at 6? Denise asked. I'll be there, Harrison promised. After they hung up, Denise felt nervous and excited and terrified all at once. She was taking a step forward, opening a door she'd kept locked for 3 years. But it felt right. It felt like honoring Tyler's memory by living fully, by choosing hope over fear, by believing in the possibility of love after loss. Amira appeared in the doorway. Did you invite him? I did, Denise confirmed. Amira smiled, wide and genuine. Good. I'll help you cook. We should make spaghetti. Everyone loves spaghetti. Denise laughed, pulling her daughter into a hug. Spaghetti it is. That night, Denise looked at Tyler's photo on her bedside table. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you for loving us. Thank you for the promise that made me careful. And thank you for loving us enough to want us to be happy, even without you. The photo, of course, didn't respond. But Denise felt peace settle over her, a sense that she was finally understanding what Tyler had really wanted all along. Not isolation but protection. Not loneliness but thoughtfulness. Not living in the past but moving forward with wisdom and care. And Harrison Blake, patient and kind and worthy, was exactly the kind of future worth moving toward. Saturday arrived with perfect weather. Denise spent the afternoon preparing dinner with Amira's help, trying not to be nervous about what felt like a significant evening. She'd invited Harrison to dinner before, but this time felt different. This time she was opening a door, signaling that something could change. She wore a blue dress, simple but pretty. Amira had insisted on wearing her favorite outfit, a green skirt with a yellow top. We have to look nice, Amira explained seriously. This is important. How do you know it's important? Denise asked, amused. Because you've been cleaning all day, Amira replied. You only clean this much when something's important. At exactly 6 o'clock, the doorbell rang. Denise took a deep breath before opening it. Harrison stood in the hallway holding flowers for Denise and a wrapped package for Amira. He wore jeans and a green button-down shirt, casual but neat. Hi, he said, and his smile was warm and slightly nervous. These are for you. They're beautiful, Denise said, accepting the bouquet of mixed flowers. Come in. Amira appeared immediately. Mr. Blake, you came. I promised I would, Harrison said, kneeling down to her level. This is for you. Amira tore open the package to find a book about famous scientists throughout history. Her eyes went wide. This is exactly what I wanted. How did you know? You mentioned it 2 weeks ago, Harrison said simply. At the picnic. You said you wished there were more books about real scientists. You remembered? Amira said, impressed. I remember most things you tell me, Harrison replied. You say interesting stuff. Dinner was comfortable and easy. They ate spaghetti at the small kitchen table, and Harrison asked Amira about her summer camp, listened to her stories about the experiments they'd done in science class, and seemed genuinely engaged with her 8-year-old world. Denise watched them interact, saw how natural Harrison was with her daughter, how Amira responded to his attention. This wasn't forced or awkward. It was real. After dinner they moved to the living room. Harrison had brought a board game, something age-appropriate that all three could play together. They spent an hour laughing over game pieces and silly rules, and Denise realized she couldn't remember the last time she'd felt this relaxed, this happy. Around 8:30, as the game was winding down, Amira looked at Harrison with sudden seriousness. "Mr. Blake, can I ask you something?" "Always," Harrison replied. "Do you want to be my friend?" Amira asked. "Like really my friend, not just my mom's boss?" Harrison's expression softened. "I would love to be your friend, Amira. Really, truly your friend." Amira nodded, satisfied. Then she looked at her mother. "Mom? Is it okay if people care about us? New people, I mean." Denise's throat tightened. This was it, the moment the promise had been building toward. Her daughter was asking permission, but really she was giving it. "Yes, sweetie," Denise said softly. "It's okay. More than okay." Amira smiled, then turned back to Harrison. "Then I have another question. Do you want to care about us? Like a lot?" Harrison glanced at Denise, asking silent permission. She nodded slightly, her heart racing. "Yes," Harrison said to Amira, his voice gentle but certain. "I already do care about you both. A lot. You're both really important to me." "Good," Amira said. "Because I think my mom likes you too. Like a lot, a lot." "Amira," Denise said, but she was laughing and crying at the same time. "Well, you do," Amira insisted. "You smile all the time when he's around. And you get all nervous before he comes over. And I heard you tell Grandma that he was special." Harrison was trying not to smile too widely. "Is that true?" Denise covered her face with her hands, embarrassed but also strangely relieved. Her 8-year-old had just done what she'd been too scared to do herself. "Yes," Denise admitted, lowering her hands. "It's true. All of it." The air in the room shifted, charged with possibility and hope. Amira looked pleased with herself. Harrison looked like he might float away. Denise felt terrified and exhilarated in equal measure. "So can he be your boyfriend?" Amira asked. "Is that okay now?" "I think that's a decision your mom and I need to talk about ourselves," Harrison said gently. "Grown-up relationships are complicated." "They don't have to be," Amira replied with the wisdom of children. "Either you like each other or you don't. And you do. So why make it complicated?" "She makes a good point," Harrison said to Denise. "She really does," Denise agreed. After Amira went to bed at 9, Denise and Harrison sat together on the couch, a careful distance between them but not as much as before. "Your daughter is amazing," Harrison said. "She's braver than I am," Denise replied. "She just says what she feels." "Do you want to say what you feel?" Harrison asked carefully. Denise took a breath. "I'm scared. I'm scared of breaking my promise to Tyler, even though I know that's not what I'd be doing. I'm scared of getting hurt. I'm scared you'll change your mind. I'm scared Amira will get attached and something will happen. I'm scared of everything." "Okay," Harrison said. "What else?" "I care about you," Denise continued. "More than I expected to. More than I thought I'd ever care about anyone again. You've been patient and kind and everything I needed without pushing for more. You've shown me who you are through actions, not just words. And I think maybe I'm ready to see where this could go." Harrison reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away, and took her hand. "I care about you too. Both of you. I know I can't replace Tyler and I wouldn't try. But I'd like to build something new with you. Something that honors your past while creating a future. If you'll let me." "I made a promise," Denise said. "To wait until Amira was ready." "Is she ready?" Harrison asked. Denise thought about the cemetery visit, about Amira's questions and observations, about her daughter asking if new people could care about them. "Yes, I think she is." "And are you ready?" Harrison asked. This was it. The moment of choice. The moment where Denise could either stay safe in her grief and fear, or take a risk on something that might be beautiful. "Yes," Denise said, squeezing his hand. "I'm ready." Harrison smiled, and it was like sunrise. "Can I take you on a real date? Just the two of us?" "I would like that," Denise replied. "Can I tell you that I've been falling for you since about 3 months after you started working for me?" Harrison asked. "That's a long time to wait," Denise said. "You're worth waiting for," Harrison replied simply. "Both of you are worth every moment of patience." They talked for another hour, making plans, discussing boundaries, figuring out how to navigate a relationship when an 8-year-old was involved. They agreed to take things slowly, to keep Amira's needs central, to build something steady and strong. When Harrison left that night, he paused at the door. "Thank you for giving me a chance. For trusting me with both of your hearts." "Thank you for being worthy of that trust," Denise replied. After he left, Denise went to check on Amira, who was supposed to be asleep but was clearly still awake. So Mr. Blake is your boyfriend now? Amira asked with a grin. Maybe, Denise said, sitting on the edge of her daughter's bed. We're going to take things slow. But yes, maybe. I'm happy, Amira said simply. Daddy would be happy too. I think you're right, Denise agreed. As Denise settled into her own bed later, she felt something she hadn't felt in 3 years. Not the peace of resignation or numbness, but the peace of hope, of moving forward, of believing good things were still possible. She'd kept her promise. She'd waited until Amira was ready. And now, standing on the other side of grief and fear, she was ready to let love in again. Tyler's photo still sat on her bedside table. I'm doing it, she whispered to it. I'm choosing to be happy. Thank you for loving me enough to want that for me. And in the quiet of her room, Denise felt like maybe, somehow Tyler was smiling too. 6 months later, Denise stood in her kitchen on a Saturday morning making pancakes while Amira set the table. The doorbell rang right on schedule. I'll get it, Amira called, running to the door. Harrison came in carrying grocery bags. Good morning, Thompson family. I brought supplies for pancake toppings. Did you get strawberries? Amira asked immediately. Would I forget your favorite? Harrison replied, producing a container of fresh strawberries. These Saturday morning breakfasts had become routine over the past months. Harrison came over on weekends and they'd spend the day together. Sometimes they went to museums or parks. Sometimes they stayed in and watched movies. Sometimes Harrison and Amira did homework together while Denise caught up on reading. It was normal and comfortable and exactly what Denise had needed. Harrison hadn't rushed anything. He'd let their relationship develop naturally, always considering Amira's feelings, always respecting the boundaries Denise set. Their first date had been dinner and a movie, nothing fancy but perfect. They'd held hands in the theater, and when Harrison kissed her goodnight on her doorstep, it had been gentle and sweet and full of promise. Since then they'd been building something real. Harrison met Denise's mother, who'd approved immediately. Denise met Harrison's parents via video call, as they were traveling the country in their RV. They'd loved her, and especially loved that their son had found someone who made him happy. At work, everyone knew they were together now. Harrison had been professional about it, making sure HR knew so there were no conflicts of interest. He'd even offered to help Denise find a position at another company if she felt uncomfortable reporting to her boyfriend, but Denise had declined. She liked her job, and they managed to keep professional and personal separate. Amira had adjusted beautifully. She called Harrison by his first name now, at his insistence. He came to her school events, helped with her science projects, and never tried to be her father but carved out his own important space in her life. One evening in early December, Denise and Harrison were sitting on the couch after Amira had gone to bed, watching snow fall outside the window. I need to tell you something, Harrison said. Denise looked at him, reading nervousness in his expression. Okay. I love you, Harrison said simply. I'm in love with you. I've been in love with you for a long time, but I wanted to wait until I thought you were ready to hear it. Denise felt tears well up. I love you too. I've been scared to say it, scared that loving again meant somehow betraying Tyler. But I know now that's not true. Love doesn't diminish love. Opening my heart to you doesn't close it to his memory. I'm so glad you feel that way, Harrison said, pulling her close. Because I want a future with you. With both of you. What kind of future? Denise asked. The kind where we're a family, Harrison said. The kind where I get to wake up next to you every morning. The kind where I can be part of Amira's life officially, not just as your boyfriend. The kind where we build a life together. Denise's heart was racing. Are you asking what I think you're asking? Harrison smiled. Not yet. But soon. I wanted you to know where I'm heading, what I'm hoping for. Is that okay? It's more than okay, Denise replied. It's everything. 2 weeks later, on Christmas Eve, Harrison came over for dinner. He'd been spending more and more time with them, had even started keeping a few things at the apartment, but tonight felt special somehow. After dinner, as they sat by the small Christmas tree Denise and Amira had decorated, Harrison cleared his throat. I have something I want to talk to you both about, he said. Amira perked up immediately. Is it a present? Sort of, Harrison said. He looked at Denise, then at Amira. You both know that I love you very much. You've become the most important people in my life. You're important to us too, Amira said seriously. I'm glad, Harrison replied. He took a breath. I want to ask your mom something very important, but I want your permission first. My permission? Amira asked, surprised. Yes, Harrison said. Because this affects you too. I want to ask your mom to marry me. But I only want to do that if you're okay with it. If you think it would be good for all of us to be a family officially. Amira's eyes went wide. Really? You want to marry us? I want to marry your mom, Harrison corrected gently. But yes, I want to be a family with both of you. I want to be someone you can count on, someone who shows up for you, someone who loves you both. Would you be my dad? Amira asked, her voice small. I could never replace your father, Harrison said carefully. He was an amazing man, a hero, and he'll always be your dad. But I could be something else. A stepdad, a guardian, someone who loves you and cares for you. If you want that. Amira was quiet, thinking. Then she said, I think Daddy would like you. I think he'd be happy that someone good is taking care of us. So you're okay with this? Harrison asked. Yes, Amira said, and then she launched herself at Harrison for a hug. Yes, yes, yes. Harrison held her tight, and Denise saw tears in his eyes. When Amira finally pulled back, Harrison turned to Denise. Denise Thompson, he said, pulling a small box from his pocket. I love you with everything I have. I love the strength you've shown, the kindness you give, the way you've built a beautiful life for your daughter. I want to spend the rest of my life making you both happy, supporting you both, loving you both. Will you marry me? The ring was beautiful but not ostentatious, a simple diamond that caught the Christmas lights perfectly. Denise looked at it, looked at Harrison's hopeful face, looked at Amira's excited expression. She thought about Tyler, about the promise she'd made 3 years ago. She'd kept that promise. She'd waited until Amira was ready. She'd been careful and thoughtful. And she'd found someone truly worthy of their love. Yes, Denise said, tears streaming down her face. Yes, I'll marry you. Harrison slipped the ring on her finger and kissed her while Amira cheered. They held each other, all three of them, and Denise felt something she thought she'd lost forever. She felt complete. The wedding was in April, a small ceremony with close family and friends. Amira was the flower girl, wearing a beautiful red dress she'd picked out herself. Harrison's parents attended in person, having driven their RV across the country to be there. Denise's mother cried happy tears through the whole ceremony. Before the wedding, Denise and Amira visited Tyler's grave one last time. Hi, Daddy, Amira said, placing flowers by the headstone. I wanted you to know that I'm getting a stepdad today. His name is Harrison and he's really nice. He loves Mom and he loves me too. I think you'd approve. Denise knelt by the grave. I kept my promise, Ty. I waited until she was ready. I was careful. And I found someone who loves us the way we deserve. Thank you for loving me enough to want that for us. Thank you for the promise that made me thoughtful. And thank you for giving me Amira. She's the best of both of us. The wedding was beautiful and simple. Harrison cried when he saw Denise walking down the aisle in her ivory dress. His vows were heartfelt and genuine, promising to love both Denise and Amira, to honor Tyler's memory, to build a family founded on respect and kindness. Denise's vows were equally emotional. She promised to trust him with her heart, to build a future together, to let love lead the way forward. And then she added something unexpected. I promise to let you help us, to accept your kindness with gratitude, and to believe that we deserve happiness. All of us. Harrison's father gave a toast at the reception. When Harrison told me about Denise, about this woman and her daughter who had captured his heart, I knew she was special. It takes a special person to wait patiently for love, to respect boundaries, to prove through consistent actions that he's worthy. But it also takes a special person to choose to love again after loss, to believe in second chances, to let hope win over fear. Today we celebrate two special people becoming a family. After the reception, as they prepared to leave for a short honeymoon, Amira hugged Denise tight. Are you happy, Mom? She asked. I'm so happy, Denise replied. Are you happy? I'm really happy, Amira said. I love Harrison. And I still love Daddy. Is that okay? That's more than okay, Denise assured her. That's perfect. Harrison joined them and Amira hugged him too. Take care of my mom. Always, Harrison promised. And someone will be taking care of you too while we're gone. Grandma's really excited to spend time with you. I know, Amira said. We're going to bake cookies and stay up late. As Denise and Harrison drove away from the reception, Denise looked back at the venue where their friends and family were still celebrating. No regrets? Harrison asked. Not a single one, Denise replied. This is exactly what was supposed to happen. Tyler's promise led me here. His love protected us until we found your love. It all makes sense now. Harrison reached over and took her hand. I'm going to spend every day of our marriage making sure you never regret choosing me. I already know I won't, Denise said. Because you chose us first. You saw us, really saw us, and you decided we were worth waiting for. That means everything. 6 months after the wedding, Harrison officially adopted Amira. It was a simple court proceeding, but it meant the world. Amira would keep her father's last name, Thompson Blake, honoring both the father she'd lost and the father she'd gained. At the adoption celebration dinner, Amira gave a speech that made everyone cry. "When my first dad died, I thought I'd never have a dad again," she said. "But then Harrison came into our lives. He didn't try to replace my dad or make me forget him. He just loved us and showed up and was there when we needed him. He proved that families can grow, that love doesn't run out, that you can honor the past while building a future. I'm lucky because I have two dads. One who watches over me from heaven, and one who's here with me every day. And I'm also lucky because I have a mom who was brave enough to love again, even when she was scared." That night, as Denise and Harrison lay in bed in their new house, the one they'd bought together with a room for Amira and a yard for the dog they were planning to adopt, Denise thought about the journey that had brought them here. 3 years ago, standing in the rain outside that hospital, she'd made a promise to a dying man. She'd thought that promise meant choosing loneliness, choosing protection over possibility. But she'd been wrong. The promise hadn't been about staying alone. It had been about being thoughtful, about waiting for the right person, about making sure that anyone who came into Amira's life could love her the way she deserved. Harrison had proven himself worthy in 1,000 small ways before Denise ever let him into their hearts. He'd been patient when she needed patience. He'd been kind without expecting anything in return. He'd shown up consistently, proving through actions that his feelings were real. And in the end, keeping the promise had led her exactly where she needed to be. Not back to what she'd lost, but forward to something new and beautiful. A love that honored the past while embracing the future. A family built on respect and kindness and hope. Tyler had loved her enough to want her to be happy, even without him. And now, finally, she was. Not because she'd forgotten him or betrayed him, but because she'd honored his final wish by being careful, thoughtful, and patient until the right person came along. Love had led the way. Just as it always should. "What are you thinking about?" Harrison asked, pulling her close. "I'm thinking about how grateful I am," Denise replied. "For all of it. The hard times that made me strong. The promise that made me thoughtful. The patience that led me to you. All of it." "I'm grateful too," Harrison said. "For your strength, your kindness, your willingness to take a chance on us. For Amira and her beautiful heart. For this life we're building together. Do you think we'll have more kids?" Denise asked. "Do you want more kids?" Harrison countered. "Maybe," Denise said. "Amira would love a little brother or sister." "Then let's see what happens," Harrison replied. "Whatever comes, we'll face it together. That's what family means." Denise smiled in the darkness. That's what Tyler had said in his wedding letter. Whatever comes, we'll face it together. Some promises lasted beyond death. Some love transcended loss. And sometimes, honoring the past meant embracing the future with open arms and an open heart. In the morning, Denise woke to sunshine streaming through the windows and Harrison's arms around her. She could hear Amira moving around in her room, probably reading or working on one of her endless science projects. This was her life now. Not the one she'd planned with Tyler, but a different one, equally beautiful in its own way. A life built on the foundation of his love but reaching toward new horizons. A life where grief and joy could coexist, where she could honor one love while celebrating another. She got up and put on her red robe, the one Harrison had given her for her birthday. In the kitchen, she started making coffee and soon Amira appeared, looking for breakfast. "Morning, Mom," Amira said, hugging her. "Can we go to the park today?" "I think that sounds perfect," Denise replied. Harrison emerged, his hair messy from sleep, looking at his wife and daughter with obvious adoration. "Did someone say park? Can I come?" "Always," Amira said. "You're part of the family now. You're always invited." As they ate breakfast together, laughing about weekend plans and Amira's latest scientific theories, Denise felt profound contentment. This was what Tyler had wanted for them. Not grief and isolation but life and love and happiness. She'd kept her promise. She'd protected Amira by being thoughtful and careful. She'd waited until they were both ready. And in doing so, she'd found exactly what they needed. A man who was patient and kind. A man who respected their past while building their future. A man who proved every day through small actions that love wasn't just a feeling but a choice, made over and over again. Harrison Blake had chosen them. And in choosing him back, Denise had chosen hope over fear, possibility over protection, and love over loneliness. She'd chosen life. And life, in all its messy, beautiful glory, had chosen them back. The promise that had once felt like a burden had become a blessing. It had taught her to be discerning, to value consistency over charm, to wait for someone whose actions matched their words. It had protected her and Amira until the right person came along. And now, surrounded by the family she'd built from loss and love, from grief and grace, from promises kept and futures embraced, Denise knew one thing for certain. Love had led the way. And it had led them home.